On.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Again. So we are live,
That's
and
good.
greetings to everyone out there, all our audiences. My name is Adibola Kolawole, and as you can see, we have a large group today. I have Mo, I have Sanji from Australia. Mo is from Canada. Remy is also from Canada. Fumi and Chris and Kim are also from Canada, and I am from New York in the United States. So
Awesome.
today's topic is going to be very interesting. So how you guys doing? How has your week been? You
Great.
know, it's
Great, great,
Friday.
great.
Great.
Yeah.
Happy Friday.
Yeah, always talking about the weekend.
Anytime.
That's
The
great.
one day I hate, so it's great.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, that's
in
true.
Australia.
Zanjiv is in the future, actually.
That's awesome.
So you'll be able to predict what's going to happen on
On
Saturday.
Saturday. Yeah.
So let's get started with today's discussion. It's going to be an interesting one. I hope everybody is ready. Just get your coffee, your snack, and just, sit by your screen and be ready to learn, to contribute also. We would like to hear your thoughts on today's topic. And that topic is, who takes the most business risk? Is it the man or the woman? So we're going to be talking about that. If you have anything to chip in, just, put it in the comments and then we will refer to that. So let's get started. Who is going to start us on this interesting topic? Who takes the most risk? Maybe I should call the couple on screen, Chris and
Yes, I love that. Let's
Kim.
I'll go ahead and
Yeah.
start off. I think historically men used to take the majority of the risk.
Mhm.
And the reason why I say that because they had a responsibility to provide for the family. However, I personally think now these days it's the women by far. I'm getting more information, women starting businesses. I think Madame CJ Walker, when she came out with her series, really inspired a lot of women. This is what I think now. It's absolutely women, hands down.
Okay.
hands down.
Yeah.
That's commendable.
I mean,
Commendable.
that's a good start. You were saying something about responsibility. So I was going to say responsibility has nothing to do with taking risk. Okay. Having the most responsible or having the family responsibility doesn't mean that you're going to take the risk. You know, uh, Today before the meeting, I was just going through online and just checking really that who really does take the most risk. Is it the man or the woman? And there was a statement that came to me, and I'm just going to read that out quickly. It says, men are willing to take more risk in finances, but women take more social risk. And what does that mean? A category that includes things like starting a new career maybe in your mid 30s, or speaking your mind about an unpopular issue in a meeting at work, and the conclusion is that it seems that the difference is because men and women, um, perceive risks differently. So what we see as
Yeah.
risk will not be what men see as risk. So it depends on how you see that particular situation. But talking about businesses, I'm going to ask Mo to say something about this topic. Who do you think takes the most risk? Is it the man or the woman? Give us your own experience.
Funny enough, it's very funny to me because I expect the men to take the highest business risks because if you look at gender roles, let's go back to origin. Gender roles, a woman is only supposed to help. Like she's not supposed to be the one to carry chest and go
Mhm.
forward and say, yes, I'm strong. It's supposed to be. But now I think the psychology and the emotional parts of the men is what is making it look like women are taking higher business risks because now they feel they have a lot more to lose if anything goes wrong. Like the man feels that they will ask me, what was I looking at? What happened? How come you didn't do your due diligence? How come you didn't do this, do that? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So women are tending to say, well, let's give it a shot. Let's enter the water. Let's drive. Let's dive. Let's see whether this water is swimmable or not, right? So, although in some families, it is 50-50, some places is the men, like the likes of all this crypto, whatever. That's this big risk, and you see men playing more in that field, right? But I just feel that it's because they have a lot more to lose. That's the reason why they take caution the most. There's something called due diligence and checks and balances. So when they feel when the home is going stray, let them be the one to say there's a stopper. But in real sense, it's women who now we get the chest. We carry the chest and say, let's go there. Do you understand?
Oh, right. Thank you, Mo. If you say so, I mean, from what you just said, it's always been I would say the norm that the man is the one at the front. So they tend to make the decision, and the women tend to follow. But things have changed over the years. Things have really changed. So, what do you have to say, Remy, to this?
Okay.
Is that funny?
It's a bit tricky question. I have a number of perspectives to it, and the first perspective I'll bring on board is using myself, my family, as an example. In my parents' home, based on my upbringing that I could see, it was more of the women taking the risk. So my mom was more of the risk taker, and my dad was really risk averse. But in my own case, I think I picked that trait from my mom in our home. I'm more of the risk taker, compared to my wife. Just like one most said that someone to maybe press the brake or pull the plugs. It's my wife that always does that, because I'm just I put one or two things together. I think it adds up. I head on to it. But another perspective that I'll look at it is coming from more of a scriptural background and all of that. I think in that light, we see more of the women taking risk. There's this the story about the virtuous woman, that she will go all out. She's enterprising, and she goes all out to take care of her family. But also the other perspective that we have, based on a background where we're coming from, is noticed because of the education and exposure, from our background. We see guys, when I say background, I'm saying for myself, my background from Nigeria, my home country. We see most men taking the risk and the women being more at home to take care of the home, and most men could go out. So for me, I'll say it's more of an individual basis, and it's more on the perspective. In my own personal opinion, in general, based on all these perspectives, I think the women take more of the risk than men. Then I be more cautious on going out. I'm different because once something makes sense to me, I just press the throttle, and I'm heading on it. So yeah, I think that's my view. And now the other perspective is, with more exposure in the world, with more education, we see more women coming out, doing great things in business. So yeah, like I said, I'll give it to the women that they are more risk takers in business.
Oh, thank you. If you say that, I mean, it's not just giving it to us. We really want to know, okay, do we take more risks than the men? But if you really look at it, like I said earlier on, that the men, based on the responsibility that they have to stand out, they have to be responsible and all that. they are more spontaneous to want to do something. The women are the cautious one. Okay, let's look at it. Let's weigh it. Let's do this. Sometimes men don't do that, and maybe that's why they feel that okay, the men are the ones that take the most risks. But like you said, that times have changed, so things are changing and people are coming out. So let's hear what Fumi has to say to this topic.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Because as you were talking, I was just thinking because to me risk is relative, right? It's
Mhm.
really, really relative.
Yeah.
And if I am to use myself or my family as an example, honestly, we can't have like a one answer because I'm sure we're not just talking about financial risk or business risk alone. Well, that is why that is like the more risk we consider in our lives, but there are other aspects to risk itself in itself. Um, First of all, if I should talk about the business risk or the financial risk, of course, I would say the women tend to take more risk because I think we just tend to go with the flow, right? Go with the flow of okay, what will be the outcome of this thing and how will
Mhm.
it benefit not just me but the family in general. So we are willing, and because we tend to devote to whatever we are committed to, we tend to think no matter what the risk is, we are capable to come out better, and earn and get more benefit from it. But if I'm not talking about the business risk now or financial risk, maybe even life in itself, maybe health risk, right? There are health risk, right? There are other risks like okay, I want to go hiking, I want to go, kayaking and all that. I think we tend to see the men in that area more. I'm just using my family as an example right now and what I see around me. And the reason why we tend to think for financial risk, the women might be, the female tends to take that risk more, but in other aspects of okay, maybe health, you know, we see that the men tend to go in that area more. In my own opinion, I might be wrong, but in my own
Okay, in
opinion.
your, I mean, that's your own opinion, and that's true anyway. But most people believe that is the other way around, that the men
Mhm.
tends to take more risks financially, while the women socially or in other aspects. All right, Sanjeev, do you have something to say to this before we move on?
Yeah, sure, sure. So, first of all, thanks for the invite, and I really appreciate for you reaching out to us. So, personally, I think that personally in this business that we're particularly doing is the amount of success mainly the ladies are getting is just mind blowing. So, with that reason, I'll say the ladies are more risk takers, and I have spoken to so many men. And personally, I've spoken to so many men uh, that talk the talk, but they don't actually walk the walk. And saying that from my personal experience. Once we present the business, one they check in, and this is just from the free webinar, right? And when it comes time to taking the next step, they just chicken out. That's all I have to say.
Now, what I want to say is that really I understand risk, but there's a relationship between risk and due diligence. So I want us to talk about that right now. Due diligence and risk are interrelated, right? Okay, let's say I want to start a logistics company right now. There are so many things I need to put in place. There's so many things I need to consider. I need to consider funds. I need to consider connections. Okay, who are going to be my vendors? Who are the people I'm going to be using? I'm going to consider insurance, right? Because in case something happens, I need to insure, that business. Because for me, I think I want to pick the word chicken out. Chicken out only comes to play when you don't really do due diligence, right?
Yeah.
And looking inwards, knowing yourself, like, when I used to work in the bank, there's something we call risk appetite. Everybody has different risk appetite. And I think
Yeah.
in Canada here, they mention it a lot. They ask you are medium risk? You're this 30% or 70%. Even before they put your money in a portfolio, they ask you, how big is your chest? More like, what can you carry? Right? Yes. And I want us to now, let's talk about due diligence in relationship with risk.
All right. Thank you, Mo. I would say that, I mean, talking about due diligence, that's just having a calculated risk. The fact that we're talking about taking risks doesn't mean that you just jump into something and that's it. Even before taking the risk, you have to calculate, the risks. What
Exactly.
am I going to do? Why am I doing it? What am I expecting to get? And why is this the best one? Why should I go with this particular risk? So it's all about calculating the risks before you take it. And that's really helps to know, what you are getting into. Does anybody else have something to say?
I'm so sorry. Something came to my mind right now while you were talking. It's just like telling yourself, why do I have to marry this man and not marry another man?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
That's a calculated risk, Abby.
yeah, yeah. That's why I mentioned earlier on that as women, as females, I think we tend to look at at it in a whole, as in like what is in it for me and for the whole body around me, like the whole family, the whole support system I have, not just us, right? We'll calculate, okay, if I give all this into this, how much does it really come back to me?
Yeah, what's the
And
result
all
I'm
that.
getting?
Yeah,
All that.
What's the return of investment? And I agree too. I think women, we are driven by other factors emotionally. We weigh not only what is this going to cost me, but
Yeah.
we weigh family. What's my children's future going to look like? What's my children's future going to look like? And so while societally things might have changed in the sense where women will take a little bit more risk, is because we say now we don't want to see our husbands working 3, 4, 5 jobs and leaving the family, leaving the home, not being able to make those intentional impartations to our families. And so when we see things that emotionally fits and checks off all the things that will allow, because again, we're not just thinking now. Our husbands will just think, I need to provide now and put something away. But we're thinking, while you're doing that, your health is being affected. Our home is being vulnerable to all sorts of attacks, right?
Yes.
Because the children are saying, where's daddy? I miss daddy. And you're saying, where's daddy? I miss daddy too. So we are driven more by so many other factors that when it does make sense and we say, God, if this will allow for my husband and I to be home sooner with the children, if this will help to build a legacy sooner and faster, absolutely, we're going to jump on it. So that's my opinion.
And I kind of tend to agree with what Kim just said there. And I see a comment in the comment section that risk and rewards are directly related. So folks, regardless of the level of risk and gender, I believe the appetites goes a longer way to determine who takes more risk. Yeah, and just like Mo mentioned earlier on, one's risk appetite, actually goes a long way. But coming to the due diligence aspect, is just like Kim mentioned, and Fumi, I think the women do more due diligence, because they tend, like like they rightly said, they tend to look at the bigger picture. For men, we're more of logical thinking. Okay, I'm adding up this and that. What's my return of investment? Is what am I cashing out? Straight up. That's what
And sometimes too spontaneous.
I'm very
Where is the money?
The women, you come from that emotional side that, okay, if I'm launching into this, what's the impact to other things? The impact to the household, to the kids, to their school. Will you be there for all their school functions? But for men is, what is my return on investment? What am I cashing out on this thing within the next 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years? And so those due diligence, we tend to look at it or view it differently. So yeah, I'll say that's kind of the way I see due diligence. But also it also depends on person to person as well. That also, yeah. So thanks. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you very much for that. There's this statement that says something like that risk helps to distinguish between leaders and followers, and that entrepreneurs take a lot of risk, that they are risk takers. Uh, I mean, do you really think that you will never know until you try? Do you ever
Yeah.
look at risk that way, that if you don't try, I mean, you will never really know?
Right.
Um, yeah, in a way, I'll say, okay, did you call me or did you call another
No,
person?
you can,
Can
of
I go
course, you
ahead?
can
Yes,
go
go
ahead
ahead.
and say
All right,
something.
okay. I'll say yes, but there's an extent at which you would like to try. Because for me, I mean, okay, what I mean by that is, I think there are stages to how far you can go into things, right?
Okay. Mhm.
And in doing my due diligence, it's knowing that, okay, if I take step A, will I get the required know-how as in information I need to be able to say, okay, I'm jumping right out or I'm going further. How much am I willing to maybe commit into this? To, of course, I won't just, as you mentioned, not just to be so spontaneous, just going into it directly like that. There are levels to these things, right? I go level A, I will get the right, maybe try it out. Let me check the right information about this. And if it's not okay for me, it's not what benefits me and my support system as a whole, then I'm out. Right? And if it does, then I go further in it. So yes, most times if you don't try, in my opinion, again, if you don't try and even go to a step further to know more about things, you can really not know how much of what you're losing or what you stand to gain.
Stand together. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's talk about personal experiences. We're all entrepreneurs. We all have businesses, online businesses. So how did it happen with you when you were going to start your business? You know, who was ready to go right away? Because I've heard a lot of stories in our community about, this starting this business, and it's not in the favor of some, a particular gender. But thank you. You have something to say?
Are you also something to say? Yeah.
Yeah, yes, yes. So particularly with the online business, like prior to this, I was in a lot of other online business, like e-commerce wise. But I found out if you even selling on those platforms for a long time, like you're not guaranteed that you can be able to pass that to your kids, because it's always those platforms have the control over their own customers, and they can pretty much take off your stores and pretty much kick you out of the platform anytime. So it has happened to a lot of different sellers, and I was looking for something that's long term, and that's when I came across this opportunity. And being such a strong business and a brand, it made a lot of sense to me. That's why I went in all the way. That's why I was never a fence sitter, and that's why I took the leap of faith and jumped straight in. And
Okay.
just like Remy said before, I said he made a good point over there, that the ladies they have more patience, while compared to the men. Men always want things to happen just right now. Like if
Yeah.
they start
I'm not
something, they
now.
just want to see.
That's sharp.
Yeah, that's my experience.
Okay. All right. So Mo, let's hear you. How did it
So,
happen with you?
okay, let me first of all say how it happened with me before because there's a question that came from what he said that I have to ask us. So for me, I believe no pain, no gain. In this life, you have to maybe it's the woman thing, like maybe because of the series of the things we pass through, we know there is nothing good that can come out of nothing that there is no pain inside. There has to be pain before you can have gain. And we tend to look at, okay, how much of this pain can I bear for me to get the gain? And everybody has what they call, I don't know, when we're in labor, they call this thing pain threshold. Yes. So how much of a pain threshold am I willing to give, for this thing I'm looking out for? So for me, it's the woman. In my own situation, is the woman, because my husband is very conservative when it comes to going big. That's why I feel men know that they have a lot to lose, right? If anything goes out. Imagine a man that is the breadwinner, law is a container, everything sank, no insurance. And another thing is that the part is that women are stronger, and the way we take in things, our shock absorber is better. So when if a business goes south, I think it affects the man more than the way it will
I agree.
on the woman. It will affect
because men don't like to lose.
No,
they don't like to lose.
They don't like to lose. That's the word.
Yeah, right.
It's going to crush everything, and to cut across every other aspect of life. So I think that's why some try to do conservative, risk. So, but for me, the woman, and then speaking about experience, it's been like that even in, like for instance, when the business came, I heard of someone that did a presentation to her husband. Like she broke it down into milk pieces
like
and did a presentation, right, to her spouse, because she knows that she must know her onions before she go and present it to that man. Else is going to be a NO. So even with businesses, there's something, we all know our spouses. You will know what works for you. Some men would go ahead and say, "Do I trust you?" And as long as you say that, as long as you say, "No, let us check this thing very well." Right? So is it not safe to say that women tend to look at the long term more than the men? And they look at they look further more than the men. I don't know.
Yeah. Men want results like right away, and if they're not patient enough to wait until the result comes, if they're not getting the reward right away, it's like, okay, this is not working. Let's get out.
They're fixers. They want to fix it, and they want to fix it right away.
Right away.
The problem is, I want to fix it now.
Sometimes some things need tending. You have to tend it. You have to be patient with it. You have to burn the candlelight. It's just the way we women have. So that's why when you give us something, it grows, and we try not to return it back to you dead.
The same way.
You need to trust us more,
Right.
Okay.
And I think that's
So
how God has created us as women. We're nurturers. We are the receptors from what men deposit. So they're depositors, we are receptors. And we nurture, we bring life, we carry life. And so anything that we want to see flourish, we take the time. And so we understand patience. We understand this baby is in me, but we're not going to see this baby right away. I'm 9 days, I'm 9 weeks, we're not 9 months yet. So we understand that incubatory phase, and we understand waiting. And men, is the baby here yet? Is the baby here yet? Any little moan, any little groan, is the baby here yet? Does this mean we gotta go? Listen, right? They're very, let's go, we're ready. And women are like, it's okay, let's take the time. It's okay. We got this. We're good. Let's walk with me. Don't run. Just walk with me.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I just add.
Go ahead.
Add, from my own experience, and I totally agree. Like I mentioned, for me, I'm more of the risk taker. I'm more of the, so coming to the online business. In fact, I didn't even inform my wife. Initially, I just launched out. And funny enough, she actually saw the opportunity online before I did, but she was still thinking about it. Like I said, I'm just, okay, what's this about? Boom, I was on it. But just like Kim mentioned, and Mo, there have been instances, that, oh, come on, man. You want it very fast and out, but it's always been my wife has been there to say, hey, let's give this thing some time. This thing, it's long term, like Mo mentioned, it's long term, it's not an immediate thing. Like, so she has been more of the, the person driving even than I. I was just, okay, boom, we are in it, but okay. So 100%. Yeah, the women are there to, let me borrow the word nurture from Kim. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Remy. I mean,
Thank you.
personally, I don't just take risk. I calculate my risks. I want to see where it's going to end. I want to know what I'm going to put in, why I'm doing it, the results, what I'm going to get. I want to see the if I don't get the results, what's it going to be like? Am I going to accept it? Am I going to keep going? Am I going to give up? Am I timing, giving myself time? That's I don't just jump into it, but at the same time, even taking risks doesn't mean that you have to just jump into anything. You need to, you know, calculate your risk, know what is in for you, know what you're getting, know the result, know the alternatives, know how you're going to react if things doesn't work the way you want it to be, and all that. So,
Yeah, I have a
rounding
quick
up this,
question though.
go ahead.
Right, just from what we just talked about right now. So, what do you guys think? If is it the men or the women? Like, if you do something, if you go into something right now, yes, you've calculated your risk, but eventually you didn't get the result you wanted, right? Does that deter you to go further to try the same thing with another scope, another alternative, or does it stop there? For example, you tried out a business and it doesn't work out the way you want it to work out. Do you say
That's it.
no to any other opportunity that comes your way? Or
Mhm.
what gender tends to say, oh no, I tried it before, I'm not trying again, you know? Or
Women.
Chris.
what is
That's a good
I'm,
question.
I'm going to say the women on this one. And I don't think I'm going to go into too much details on why I'm saying the women.
I agree with you.
I don't want to get in trouble. However, I do say the women. I think for men, because we're a little bit stubborn. And so if we see failure at something, we want to try it again to prove that we can make it work. We
Only
don't
to prove,
exactly.
prove that, to prove that you're doing the right thing. I can make it
And
work.
it also
ego thing,
speaks a little
right?
bit to the male
Ego
ego,
thing.
and it helps to validate that we are capable of doing something and being successful at it, as
That's
opposed to
ego.
being looked at as a failure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's just men's ego. You don't want to be, you don't want to be seen as failing. That's different from, oh, this thing didn't work out, and I don't think
Right.
it's the right path to take. Let me just put a stop at it.
Mhm.
Let me just take a break and recalculate and see if it's something I should. Women tends to hold on
Mm-hmm.
and look, like you said. But like you said, you actually made it so clear. Men go ahead more because of their ego, because they don't want to be a failure, not because they believe, oh, this thing is actually going to work eventually.
They
Right.
hate to lose.
They
It's
hate-
that. It's how they're built. It's how they're created. There's no losing.
I
No,
wouldn't say,
yeah,
I wouldn't say we hate to lose. We just don't like to feel like we're failing.
your failures, yeah.
We
Yeah.
we don't want to be looked upon as being a failure with the weight that's on our shoulder. If
Hmm.
we're not successful, that speaks a lot to our man, our ability to be a man. And so we want to be able to produce, so we can say, here, we're producing fruit.
Yeah.
Now you can eat.
Okay. Thank you for that. I think that's a good one. Maybe that keeps men going and doing the right thing, and you know, taking care of those responsibilities. All right, so we're gonna be rounding this up. Any last thoughts?
Yeah, so I just want to say that as we're rounding this up now, this will be available for replay, and you can still engage with this post even when you're watching the replay. Let us know your thoughts. Who takes the business risk more? It's still controversial. It's still open. We're leaving it open-ended. We're not picking any
Yeah.
gender. I'm not saying whether it's the man or the woman.
No.
We
We
are.
can't exhaust this topic at all. We could go on for another half an hour.
We
still.
would just go on and on. Yes. So because it will lead to something else and it will lead to something else. So please and put it in the comment section. Let's know, what do you think? Is it the man or the woman? Because we all have varying experiences, like we said, and then we really want to discuss and engage with you. Onto that, I think that's my own, closing statement.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for joining us today.
Thank
It's been
you.
a very wonderful discussion. I
Yeah.
hope to see you all soon, and
Yeah.
thank you to all our panelists,
All right.
Remy, Sanjay, Fumi, Chris, and Kim, and our dear sister Mo.
Thank you
Yeah.
guys.
All right,
Thank you
guys.
guys.
See you
Thank you
Thank
for
soon.
joining
you.
us.
Yes,
And
thank
Everyone,
you.
bye.
don't
Bye,
have a
everyone.
great
Good evening.
Okay.
Bye.
Take care.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.